Hey everybody, it's Squez,
It's Winnie.
and we got to test out the Switch 2 in New York City. It was a wonderful experience. And in this video, we're going to tackle the day itself,
What our expectations were going into the experience,
our first impressions of the console,
the games that we played,
and should you buy it or not. The scenes that you're watching in front of you are taken straight from the Nintendo Direct.
We did that because, let's face it, we're gamers. We wanted to spend as much time with the console and playing the games itself. So we took lots of pictures.
With all that out of the way, let's get into the video.
We knew this was going to be a long day. We had to get up at like 3:30 in the morning to catch a Greyhound bus, which is an hour away in DC. And then we went all the way up to New York, which is about a 4-hour drive.
Well, it was well worth it, as us preparing early gave us a chance to have some of the best breakfast in Hell's Kitchen.
From there, we walked what seemed to be 72 miles all the way to the Nintendo store because we wanted to go in and see what we were going to try really hard not to buy later on in the day.
We were like kids in the candy store, and that's where we took a brunt of our pictures. Now, I wanted to talk about what some of our expectations were. I had a lot of personal gripes with the Switch 1, primarily on the console side and how the Joy-Cons felt. I know it's a very controversial topic with the stick drift and all that stuff, so I know going into the event, that's the first thing that I really wanted to tackle. I wanted to get my hands on the console and see if it was well made, like if the Joy-Cons had like a deeper feel to it.
And for me, I didn't really have any expectations because you guys know that I love anything that Nintendo does. So my only really worry was the new kickstand, how it had that big hole in the middle, but it's like I pulled on it. It's really sturdy. It's made out of aluminum. It's not gonna bend. You could lay it flat almost if you wanted to. It was pretty nice.
My first impressions of the console were really positive. Touching the console felt light but really sturdy. The assistants let me really scrutinize the Switch while we were waiting for our group time to start. The bigger joysticks on the Joy-Cons felt really good ergonomically. They really improved the integrity of the analog sticks, so gamers who play with a heavy hand can feel confident in the longevity of the Joy-Cons. In addition, the magnets on the Joy-Cons felt really strong and tangible. I unhooked and rehooked the Joy-Cons about 10 to 15 times, and I felt confident on the stability of each reconnect, as its predecessor gave me that issue a lot in the past.
For me, I was just really excited to see what's new. I was looking at those SL and SR buttons because they made them bigger. Because let's face it, nobody ever slid the thing on to make those buttons work the way they were supposed to on the old Switch. They are bigger. The way that the Joy-Con individually by itself felt in your hand was amazing. The joystick was bigger. The buttons were easier to push. The other thing I was excited to see was the camera, because in the Direct, the camera looks like this giant, ugly monstrosity. But in real life, seeing it with my own eyes, it was this sleek, beautiful, tiny thing. I'm so excited to see the way it'll work in real life in our living room.
Alright, now we're going to talk a little bit about what we played. We didn't have a lot of time to play a lot of games because the event was really rigid in its structure. But we first started off with a couple rounds of Mario Kart.
That's right. They paired us off in twos, and because Squez came with me, we became mortal adversaries. They had all of the characters unlocked, so we had so much fun and spent a little too much time deciding if we should be Waluigi in his fancy Mexican hat, or if we should be really pretty Pauline in her really pretty dress. Then it was go time. Squez and I started the race. What was really cool about this is that it was like a running start. You didn't have to wait at the start-finish line. We were just going, and then the race happened. So who do you think won in any of these races that we were able to do?
Yeah, I really liked the game. With the bigger courses, it made the 24 drivers not feel cumbersome. The game still has the same level of chaos as if it were 12 drivers, just because of the nature of Mario Kart, but I think once gamers get their hands on this, the features alone is enough to provide an enjoyable experience.
After we were finished roaming around the expansive world that is now Mario Kart, they moved us over to another section where we played the knockout option, the knockout feature for Mario Kart, meaning that every so often you hit a checkpoint. Once you hit the checkpoint, the bottom 4 people were eliminated. funnily enough, as bad as you've seen Squez and I play, we made it to 4th and 5th out of the 24 people that were playing, so we didn't do too shabby.
And after we tried out that awesome demo for Mario Kart, the assistants escorted us into a separate room where they had plenty of booths of various games. The list of games includes a lot of the things you've seen on the Nintendo Direct, being the GameCube emulator, Hades 2, both Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, and Breath of the Wild, Mario Party, Metroid Prime 4, Split Fiction, which is one of my favorites out of the ones I've tried, Civ 7, Street Fighter 6, Hogwarts Legacy, Cyberpunk, and Yakuza 0. Due to the fact that we had limited time constraints and some people wanted to play more games than others, there is a list of games that we didn't get a chance to play.
It was fun that they had a whole bunch of different games for us to choose from. Some of my favorite games of all time are like Total War, so when they had Civ 7, I really enjoyed playing that. You could use the mouse features for that. I also played Hogwarts Legacy, where we went and we tried to save a dragon from these awful poachers. You could use the Joy-Con like a magic wand. It was really cool. We also played a couple of cooperative games, and we also kicked each other's butt at Street Fighter. We had a really good time with the amount of time. Even though it was short, it was still a really fun time.
Outside of most of the games running really smooth and really well, I wanted to talk about the mouse function because that was the one that intrigued me the most out of the new features. I had both a positive and a negative experience with this mouse function. You would think that ergonomically, because of how the Joy-Cons are really small, you would think that it would feel uncomfortable using it as a mouse. But I find it that the buttons were really easy to press and the motion itself felt really smooth. A good example of this is when I played Metroid Prime 4 using the mouse controls. It felt just like a PC gamer playing COD and FPS. It felt so smooth to just move around and aim with Samus and using the two triggers, the bumpers to control, to choose your shots and stuff. It felt really good. So PC gamers, you'll have a lot of good time with this. And on the negative end, using the mouse control with both hands on this game called Dragon Drive, it felt a little bit cumbersome and it took a little bit of getting used to. We had a little table that we played that we tried it on, and while the game itself looks very visually appealing and it actually looks fun, I do not think that using the motion controls and using both hands to do the mouse to emulate wheelchair riding is gonna stick. I think during my session, my little play session, it really took a little bit to give with the player, and it just felt like its own little workout. The last thing I want to talk about before we get into whether you should buy the Switch 2 or not is what I consider to be the headliner of the event. We had a 20-minute demo of Donkey Kong's new game, Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Donkey Kong is the game that I'm probably looking forward to the most. We got to play it for exactly 20 minutes. The Switch was timing us. But literally you could break everything. It's all about smashing and all about exploring. You got to see this whole world. You could climb all the way up to the top of mountains. You could smash all the way down to the water in the ground. It was so cool. I cannot wait to play this. The graphics are cool. It sounds like he's voiced by Seth Rogen from the movie. I'm just 100% all excited about this game.
Yeah, this game looks really neat with the smashing and the exploring and breaking through terrain and stuff. I'm excited to see what kind of Easter eggs they put in here because they have the opportunity to put a lot of Easter eggs in this game, so I'm looking forward to that. Alright, which brings us to our final point. Should you buy the Switch 2 or not? For me, personally, all of my personal gripes with the Switch 1 I felt were addressed. The Joy-Cons, the stick drift, and the seemingly cheap material of the product themselves. Obviously, the price point is divisive for gamers, so I won't touch on that because we all don't make the same money. But I think super fans of the Switch 1 will be pleasantly surprised with the upgrades to the Switch 2. And I think it might sway with the new features, the 120 FPS, the smooth gameplay, bigger screen, HD display. I think it might sway other gamers to at least consider it over the other two console powerhouses.
It's Nintendo, so I'm never gonna say no. I had every iteration of the Nintendo DS. I have every console that they've ever made, excluding Japan-only ones. I really love Nintendo, and this console is them really showing what they're made of. They are giving us everything we asked for, and the other system, and more. So yes, I really do think you should buy it.
Let me know what you guys think. Give the video a like, consider subscribing to the channel, and in the comments, let me know whether this video helped sway your decision in a good or a bad way. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. Stay super, everybody. Peace.